A young lady by the name of Sarah formerly had the lifelong aspiration of becoming a doctor. She put in a lot of effort throughout high school and college, obtaining top marks and astound everyone with her wit and commitment. Sarah sought to medical school after earning honors in her undergraduate degree and was admitted into a top institution. She was so thrilled that she poured hours into studying her textbooks, striving to be the greatest doctor she could be. But when Sarah was given the sad news that she had a rare and severe form of cancer, her hopes were dashed. The young lady, who had always been so full of life, found herself suddenly facing the very serious prospect of passing away. Sarah was determined to persevere despite the grim outlook. She persisted in going to medical school because she was adamant that she would finish the program and become a doctor no matter what. Along the way, she met John, a fellow student who was pursuing a career in medicine. The two rapidly grew close, discussing not just their concerns and troubles, but also their aspirations and goals. John became Sarah's go-to person when her health deteriorated and she needed someone to lean on. He frequently stayed up late with her to study and go through their homework. They would discuss everything from their preferred medical procedures to their future concerns. Sarah's condition started to deteriorate one day. As she was admitted to the hospital, it was obvious that she had little time left. Knowing that he had to be there for his buddy in her last moments, John hurried to her side. Sarah seemed frail, yet there was a glimmer of resolve in her eyes. She replied, turning to face John, "I'm aware that I won't be able to pursue a career as a doctor right now, but I still want to assist others. Will you swear to me that you'll put what you've learned to good use and change the world?" Sarah clasped John's hand and he said, "I swear. I'll work hard to become the greatest doctor I can be and pay tribute to you by doing my best to serve others." Knowing she had improved at least one person's life, Sarah grinned. She died gently, but John and the numerous lives he touched as a doctor kept her legacy alive. Years later, John was a successful physician with a solid reputation in his area. He had made it his life's work to assist others, as Sarah had wished. Despite his achievement, he was unable to forget the girl who had motivated him to pursue a career in medicine. One day, Emily, a little girl, came up to John. Even though she was only 8 years old, she had already undergone more medical operations than the majority of individuals have in their lifetime. Emily was in continual discomfort due to a rare genetic disease that led her body to attack itself. John could sense Emily's terror in her eyes and knew he had to act to save her. In an effort to find a solution to lessen her pain, he spent hours learning about her disease and speaking with various medical professionals. John tried all he could think of to assist Emily for months, yet nothing appeared to be working. When Emily's condition deteriorated more, her family's hopes began to fade. One day, when John was working in his office, Emily's mother called him. When she told him that Emily was in the hospital once more and that she might not survive this time, she was in tears. John made no hesitation. With a mission to do all in his power to save Emily's life, he hurried to the hospital. As he entered the space, he noticed Emily laying on bed with equipment attached to her, surrounded by concerned family members. John grasped Emily's hand as he walked up to her bedside. She heard him say, "You have my full support, Emily. I swear I'll find a method to assist you." Emily murmured back to him as she gazed up at him with tears in her eyes, "I'm grateful, Dr. John. I believe you." The following few days were devoted to John's earnest efforts to solve Emily's issue. He sought advice from different medical professionals and investigated all available therapies. He finally devised a strategy. He went to Emily's parents and told them about his strategy. At first they were apprehensive, but John was certain it would succeed. John prepared for the operation once Emily's parents gave their approval. John knew the procedure was hazardous, but he was committed to helping Emily. Without once giving up, he diligently and deliberately went about his business. He eventually left the surgery room with a smile on his face after several hours of labor. Parents of Emily hurried over to him while crying openly. They questioned, "Is she going to be all right?" I saw John nod. "The treatment was successful," he said. "I can tell you that Emily will be okay." Emily made a gradual but consistent recovery. John understood that he had found his true purpose as she became stronger. Though he had always known he wanted to be of service, Sarah had shown him the genuine meaning of compassion and commitment. Like he had promised Sarah so long ago, John continued to assist others over the years. He had developed into a successful doctor and had even opened his own clinic to offer treatment to people in need. John was beloved by both his patients and his co-workers, and his clinic had developed into a ray of hope for many. In spite of all his accomplishments, he never forgot Sarah. He often thought about her and how she had influenced his life. He realized that without her support and companionship, he would not be where he is today. One day, John received a letter from Sarah's relatives. He was informed that Sarah had previously left John a letter that she had written shortly before her death. John read the letter, feeling overwhelmed with emotion. In the letter, Sarah expressed her gratitude for his friendship and unwavering support. She expressed how grateful she was for the time they spent together and how much his support had meant to her. Sarah's letter also contained a request. She asked John to continue helping others and to never give up on his dreams. She reminded him that life is precious and that every moment should be cherished. John was deeply touched by Sarah's words and knew that he would honor her request. He vowed to continue making a difference in the world, just as Sarah had done during her short but impactful life. From that day on, John made it his mission to carry on Sarah's legacy. He dedicated his clinic to her memory and made sure that every patient who came through its doors received the same level of care and compassion that Sarah had shown him so many years ago. Years went by, and John continued to help others, just as he had promised Sarah so many years ago. He never forgot about her or the impact she had on his life, and he made sure that her memory would live on through his work. John knew that Sarah was watching over him, and he hoped that she was proud of all that he had accomplished in her honor. As John's clinic continued to grow, he never forgot the lessons he had learned from Sarah. He believed that every patient deserved to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their background or circumstances. He also believed in the power of hope and positivity, even in the face of difficult circumstances. John's clinic soon became known as a place of healing and hope, where patients could receive high-quality medical care and emotional support. His staff was dedicated and compassionate, and they all shared John's vision of making a positive impact in the world. One day, a young woman came to John's clinic seeking medical attention. She was timid and scared, and John could see that she was in a great deal of pain. He sat with her and listened to her story, learning that she had recently immigrated to the United States with her family and was struggling to adjust to her new life. John could relate to her story, as his own family had immigrated to the United States when he was a child. He knew how difficult it could be to adapt to a new culture and language, and he wanted to do everything he could to help this young woman. He referred her to a specialist who could treat her condition, and he also connected her with resources to help her with her immigration paperwork and English language skills. He even arranged for a volunteer from his clinic to help her navigate the healthcare system and provide emotional support. The young woman was incredibly grateful for John's help, and she soon became a regular patient at his clinic. She brought her family members and friends, and soon John's clinic became known as a trusted resource for the immigrant community. John was proud of the impact his clinic was having on people's lives, but he knew that there was still so much more work to be done. He wanted to expand his clinic's reach and provide even more services to those in need. He began working with other healthcare providers and community organizations to develop programs to address issues such as mental health, substance abuse, and chronic illness. He also started a scholarship program for underprivileged youth who wanted to pursue careers in healthcare. John's work continued to gain recognition, and he was soon invited to speak at national conferences and on television programs. He used these opportunities to share his vision for healthcare and to encourage others to make a positive impact in their communities. Through it all, John never forgot about Sarah and the impact she had on his life. He knew that he would not be where he was today if it weren't for her encouragement and support. He often thought about her and the lessons she had taught him, and he hoped that he was making her proud. One day, John received a surprise visitor at his clinic. It was Sarah's mother, who had traveled from out of state to visit him. She thanked him for continuing Sarah's legacy and for making such a positive impact in the world. John was touched by her words, and he took her on a tour of his clinic, introducing her to his staff and showing her the programs he had developed. He also showed her a special display he had created in honor of Sarah, featuring photos and mementos from their time together. As they walked through the clinic, Sarah's mother told John about how proud she was of her daughter and of the impact she had on so many people's lives. She also thanked John for being such an important part of Sarah's journey and for continuing to make a difference in the world. John was overcome with emotion, and he hugged Sarah's mother tightly. He knew that Sarah's memory would always be with him, and he promised to continue making a positive impact in the world, just as she had. Years went by, and John's clinic continued to grow and thrive. He never forgot about Sarah or the lessons she had taught him, and he continued to work tirelessly to provide the best possible care to his patients. The clinic had become a pillar of the community, and John was respected and admired by all who knew him. Despite his success, however, John couldn't help feeling like something was missing. He had never married or had children, and as he grew older, he began to feel a sense of loneliness that he had never felt before. He had devoted his entire life to helping others, but he had never taken the time to build a life of his own. One day, as he was closing up the clinic, John noticed a woman sitting on the curb outside. She was crying and appeared to be in distress. John approached her and asked if she needed help. The woman, whose name was Maria, told John that she had just lost her job and was struggling to make ends meet. She had no family or friends in the area, and she didn't know where to turn for help. John listened to her story and felt a sense of compassion for her. Without hesitating, he offered her a job at the clinic as a receptionist. Maria was thrilled to have the opportunity to work, and she quickly proved to be an asset to the clinic. She was kind, compassionate, and had a natural talent for working with people. As the months went by, John and Maria became good friends. They would often share lunch together, and John would take her on tours of the clinic, showing her the various rooms and equipment. Maria was fascinated by everything she saw and was eager to learn more. One day, as they were walking through the clinic, John realized that he had developed feelings for Maria. He had never been one to pursue romantic relationships, but he couldn't help feeling drawn to her. He knew that he needed to tell her how he felt. "Maria," he said, taking a deep breath, "I know this may sound strange, but I have developed feelings for you. I understand if you don't feel the same way, but I wanted you to know how I feel." Maria looked at him, surprised but also touched by his honesty. She thought for a moment before responding. "John, I don't know what to say. I think you're an amazing person, and I'm grateful for everything you've done for me. But I'm not sure I'm ready for a relationship right now. Can we just take things slow and see where they go?" John nodded, relieved that Maria had not rejected him outright. They continued to work together at the clinic, but now there was a new tension between them. John found himself thinking about Maria all the time, wondering if she felt the same way he did. As the months went by, John and Maria grew closer. They would often go out to dinner or see a movie together, and John began to feel like he had finally found the missing piece in his life. He loved spending time with Maria and felt like they had a deep connection. One day, as they were walking through the park, John took Maria's hand and stopped her. "Maria, I know we've been taking things slow, but I need to tell you something. I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me?" Maria's eyes widened in surprise, but then she smiled. "Yes, John, I will marry you." John felt like he was walking on air. He couldn't believe that he had found love after all these years. He knew that Sarah would be proud of him for finally taking the leap and pursuing his own happiness. A year later, John and Maria were married in a beautiful ceremony at the clinic. All of their friends and family were there to celebrate with them, and John felt like he was the luckiest man in the world. As they exchanged their vows, John couldn't help but think about Sarah and how much he wished she could be there to share in their happiness. After the wedding, John and Maria settled into their new life together. They continued to work together at the clinic, and their love for each other only grew stronger with each passing day. They'd also started a family, and soon they had 2 beautiful children who they loved more than anything in the world. John never forgot about his promise to Sarah, and he made sure to pass on her legacy to his children. He taught them about the importance of compassion, empathy, and dedication to helping others. He also made sure to tell them about Sarah and how she had inspired him to become the person he was today. Years went by, and John grew older. He eventually retired from the clinic, but he continued to volunteer his time at local hospitals and charities. He never lost his passion for helping others, and he remained a beloved figure in the community until the very end of his life. As he lay on his deathbed, surrounded by his loved ones, John thought back on his life and felt a sense of deep satisfaction. He knew that he had lived a life filled with purpose, and he was grateful for every moment of it. In the end, John's legacy lived on through the countless lives he had touched and the many people he had helped throughout his lifetime. And though he was gone, his spirit remained alive in the hearts of all those who had been lucky enough to know him.